Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to the final Enso update of 2021. So, here we go. Been doing Enso updates every month since January. We've got to August. And although we're some way short of the end of the year, of course, we've still got September, October, November and December to go. This is your last Enso update of the year. The reason being that in a couple of weeks' time, we're going to start doing winter updates. And that means that every week we will be looking in depth at what's going on with Enso. And so there'll be no point doing Enso updates, while we're doing winter updates as well, just be repeating ourselves. So we always put the Enso updates on the back burner once we get past August, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to put the Enso updates on back burner after this one, and we'll amalgamate them, merge them, I suppose, with the winter updates. So I'll pretty much take everything that's going on, Enso-wise. We'll have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies, we'll look at the subsurface temperature anomalies, and we'll also, of course, have a look at some model data as well. I shall get on with that for you in a second. Just say that the first video release day was our 7 AM broadcast. We've got the EC 30-day / 6 weeks look ahead coming up for you later on this afternoon, or later on this morning. And then this afternoon, we're going to have your 10 to 14 day that will include all of the regular features. So it's going to be a busy day at GavsWeatherVids today, 4 uploads. A lot going on. Please like, share, subscribe on all of the videos. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for GavsWeatherVids. Right, we're going to turn off webcam, and we'll start off looking at cold and warm episodes by season page. This is from CPC, NCP, and NOAA. So we always begin with this just to, confirm what's happened in the last tri-monthly period. So this is showing all Enso events back to 1950, where we've got the blue colours, that's where we're having cold events, La Niñas. We've got the red colours, that's where we've got warm events, El Nino. So, for example, you can see that in the 1970s, from 1974 through 1975, we did in fact have like a continuous La Nina. It actually starts in the middle of 1973. It doesn't finish really until the spring of 1976. So those middle years of the 1970s were great drought years, coincided with quite significant La Nina developments, and they're all indicated by those blue numbers. Later in the 70s, we go into a weak El Nino, begins in the second half of 1976, and on off through 77, and also into 78, and to some degree into 79 as well. So we've got the red numbers, that's where we're having El Nino events. We've got blue numbers, that's where we're having La Nina events. So red is El Nino, blue is La Nina, black is Enso neutral, that's when you're neither in an El Nino or a La Nina. Right, so let's come on down to the current year, 2021. We can start in 2020, actually, and we see that the second half of 2020 did, in fact, have a weak to borderline moderate La Nina event. It peaked in the tri-month period of October, November, December, quite early peak for that La Nina event. Gradually through 2021, we've been watching this La Nina weakening. It's been a slow process to weaken it off, but each tri-monthly period has gradually seen a reduction. And so the very latest tri-monthly period for May, June, July, this box just here, actually takes us back to Enso neutral. We've gone back to black, and we're still negative. We're still got a minus number there, minus 0.4, but we are now under, for that tri-monthly period, under La Nina threshold. Remember, the all important number is half a degree, be it above average for El Nino or below average for La Nina. 0.5 Celsius, very, very important number. To have a La Nina, for example, designated, you have to be at or under 0.5 degrees over 5 tri-monthly periods as well. So sometimes you'll get like 2 or 3 tri-monthly periods that do reach required, La Nina threshold requirements of half a degree or more below average, but it doesn't last for the full 5 tri-monthly periods. So quite strict criteria needed to have a La Nina, and the same is true for an El Nino, have these events designated. And so therefore we see that for the most recent tri-monthly period we have gone back to Enso neutral, and that is confirmed. We are on the cool side of Enso neutral. Right, so this is how the Equatorial Pacific Ocean was looking when we did last month's penultimate Enso update. So, of course, we're concentrating on this area just here. which is the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. You know, Enso is like the cyclical, or annual and cyclical, warming and cooling of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean from Peru, just there, to Indonesia, over here. Now, last month we were seeing just the first signs, first hints perhaps, of a re-emergence of La Nina through the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Again, this is from 25th of July. Just maybe a few hints of re-emergence of the La Nina signature. Well, I'll show you the latest. This is the very latest for the 22nd of August. You can see in the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, we have actually strengthened that La Nina signal to some degree. So, yes, we have seen a further strengthening of the La Nina signal for the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Over towards Indonesia, looking quite warm over there, but then again, the warmer than average sea surface temperature noise do tend to get pushed towards Australia and New Zealand when La Nina is going on. Also, interestingly though, it has turned quite warm here in the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. So you have got a little bit of a fight going on at the moment between, you know, the eastern Equatorial Pacific Ocean, which is actually quite warm, and this much cooler area in the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. I reckon it's the cold average sea surface temperature anomalies that will win this. I think La Nina, you know, is going to redevelop. It is redeveloping, and it will continue to do so over the next few weeks and the next 2 or 3 months. So I reckon we're going to go back into weak La Nina signature. But it is possible that if this warm and average area sea surface temperature takes off, I think it's too late to go to an El Nino, but we might go to, like, Enso neutral, might put a stop on La Nina fully getting going. But I think we will go into La Nina, and the reason I think that is because subsurface temperature actually aren't supportive of an El Nino or Enso neutral. So with this is from the CPC, NCP, and PDF. It gets updated every single week, and so what you have to think of with this, actually just refresh, make sure it's not updated while I've been doing this. So let's just scroll down here. You get so much information. It's absolutely fantastic. I will share the link with this. You know, it's absolutely incredible how much information you get. No, that hasn't updated over the past week. So now I will have to zoom in, of course. So here we go. I'm going to zoom back in, and we will have a look at the subsurface temperature. So I thought it was worth just checking to see whether that's updated or not, but it has not. Right, so this is up to the 16th of August. So subsurface temperature. No, so with this, I think this is like the depths of the ocean. So we've got Peru just there. We've got Indonesia over here, and this is the depths. So that's like the surface of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. These are the depths of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, going all the way down to 300 meters. Now, so this area just here on the surface is relatively warm in the east part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. But you see just underneath the surface, it actually looks relatively cold, except for that tiny little area just there. But because it's 16th of August, that might well have upwelled into the east part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean to some degree. But there is no support, you know, below the surface for anything other than a La Nina. We have got a large mass of cold and average sea surface temperature, particularly here in the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. So you look at that, and it does look pretty well primed, I think, for like a weak La Nina at the very least through the end of the year. We have got this area of warm and average subsurface temperature is here in the western part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, at depths of around 130 to 150 meters, or 100 to 150 meters. So that, I mean, we need to keep an eye on that, but I think that is going to be kept at bay by this cold and average area subsurface temperature on here. So it is a bit of a struggle to get this going, as it often or sometimes is in a second year La Nina event. But I think that the most likely outcome, based on the sea surface and the subsurface temperature anomalies, is that we will see a weak La Nina re-emerging. SOI looks like this. So the Southern Oscillation index is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state. It doesn't drive anything, so in terms just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. Measuring air pressures between Darwin in Australia and Tahiti in the central southern Pacific Ocean. So when the SY, this from Queensland Government, when the SY is in its negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. When the SY is in positive phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. So you see we are getting some days that are a little bit negative. So for the 14th of August, we're at minus 4.67. The 18th of August, we're at minus 3.70. 17th of August, we're at minus 0.79. So weekly negative on some days, slightly reflecting in the atmospheric state of an El Nino, but many of the days actually still in positive territory, some quite significant. So 20th of August at plus 13.72, 21st of August at plus 11.05, 22nd of August at plus 3.46, and 23rd of August at plus 5.07. All those days are reflective in terms of the atmospheric state of a La Nina type setup. So we can see that the SY 30-day average has reduced quite significantly. So back in late July, we was up here, very, very positive with the SY 30-day average. Where we are right now is down there. So we're still positive, but only weekly so. We're at around plus 3 to plus 4. So that definitely has been like a swing within the atmospheric state into rather more of an El Nino type setup. That possibly explains some of the warming of the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean on the surface of the ocean. But the 30-day average does move around quite a lot because it is only a 30-day average and it is prone, to individual days doing something rather different. You see the 90-day average, which is this yellow dashed line, is moving far less, and that's just solidly sort of weekly positive at around plus 6. So the atmospheric setup, it isn't as strongly primed for La Nina as it was back in July, but nevertheless it is still within La Nina threshold, and I suspect, that we're probably going to see the SY 30-day average beginning to go more positive again as we get into September. So let's have a look at some model data then. So this is CFS V2. So with this we've got our temperature anomalies on the side and the dates in multiple periods are along the bottom. So, of course, the all-important number is that minus 0.5, half a degree below average. That's where we've got to be at La Nina threshold, half a degree or more below average. And again, over 5 time periods. The CFS does that, no problem. So the current position is around there, just on the border of the, just on the border of Enso neutral or La Nina, but the black dash line through September and into October reduces, goes down to 1 degree below average. That's easily within La Nina threshold and stays there right way through to the end of the year. So that does, keep us, or does give us a weak central-based La Nina. Some of the ensemble blue members go down here. They go a little bit colder towards sort of a moderate La Nina type event. I think that's probably quite like. I think if we do get a La Nina, it will be a weak La Nina, and probably due to how warm it is in the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, probably central based as well, and that takes us through to the start of next year, and then through the first months of next year, of course, we go back to Enso neutral, as is always the case in the Northern Hemisphere spring. Cat and Sips is looking like this. So the current situation in terms of the forecast from Cat and Sips for August looks like that. Pretty decent. There's that warm and average area sea surface temperature anomalies in the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean has those rather colder than average sea surface temperature anomalies. So that's a pretty decent forecast for August, I think, from Cat and Sips at chocolatedbits.com. That's how September looks. So that warm and average area sea surface temperature knowledge just sort of shrinks and fades away in the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean in September. Meanwhile, the central and western part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean begins to turn that little bit colder. And then we see a further expansion of the colder and average sea surface temperature anomalies. Excuse me. we see a further expansion of both cold and average sea surface temperature anomalies through October, and they're even starting to move in towards that eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean too, and that carries on through November and into December, by which time, obviously, we have got a proper La Nina signal going on there. All areas right away from Indonesia over here, all the way to Peru, all areas are colder than average. I think this is going for like a moderate La Nina event at its core, which is in this central part of the Equatorial Pacific, just here. So we go to just about to moderate La Nina levels when we get through towards Christmas. And then early next year, that begins to fade away, of course, as we go into the spring. So can sips, as it has been for several months, solidly in the La Nina camp. ECMWF looks like this. So again, very similar to what we was looking at with the CFS. We have our temperature anomalies along the side. We have our dates, monthly periods along the bottom. The all-important number is around here, half a degree below average. At the moment, we're quite close to that, so we're Enso neutral to borderline La Nina as we get through towards the end of the year. It's quite a range, so these are warm outlier members up here. These are cold outlier members down there, going for quite strong La Ninas, but the broad thrust by sort of November, December is somewhere around there, I think. Which, again, it's around Enso neutral to weak La Nina. So the ECM isn't quite as bullish about a La Nina for the winter, actually. Not quite as bullish as, say, the CFS and CanSit. But it's close to it. It's sort of borderline Enso neutral to La Nina there from the ECMWF. We've got the Beijing Climate Center, which looks like this. So September forecast, you have a La Nina event taking place. So we see the east part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean goes cold in September, and really all areas of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean are looking quite cold in September. So La Nina signature there. Next month. Begin to fade out, though, interestingly, by November, and Beijing Climate Center is doing this quite regularly. It is very strange, but it is doing so, because normally you would expect an Enso event to gather pace through the autumn and peak around December, around Christmas. But we see that with the Beijing Climate Center, actually begins to fade out the La Nina at the end of the year. And so by January, actually the Beijing Climate Center has us in what looks like a little bit of an El Nino type signal, which is very, very, very strange. I think if that happened, it'd be the first time it's ever happened that you've had an El Nino event develop like in January. So I don't know what the Beijing Climate Center model is doing there, but it looks very, very odd. It looks very strange, and I think it's highly unlikely we will have an El Nino developing in January. But, you know, that's what the model is going for, so I suppose it's got to be a possibility. It's a decent model of Beijing Climate Center as well. But there we go, that's what that one is going for. And then finally, we've got UK Met, so you'll have to zoom in with this one as well. Let's do it, shall we? Sorry, everyone. Right, okay, so, need to get, yes, we've got CSUB temperatures up. Okay, so, this is, how the, UK Met, model is looking for autumn, September, October, November. La Nina signature there, you know, for the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Definitely less so in the eastern, portion. Go through tri-month period for October, November, December. That La Nina signature, if anything, is strengthening a little bit more. So this is getting us to moderate La Nina levels, I think. Again, particularly in the central part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Notice it is cooling towards the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. And then as far as we go, November, December, January, and by which time, again, we've got a definite La Nina signature. UK Met has us well and truly in La Nina there, and it is like a borderline moderate event as well, I think. And it is also beginning to encompass the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean too. Right, so that's it. That's brought you up to date with the final Enso update of 2021. Basically, it still looks like La Nina is on the way to me. There's been a little bit of a wobble that's gone on during this August. In terms of the Southern Oscillation Index, about warmer than average area. Sea surface temperature anomalies in the eastern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. So the progression to La Nina has kind of backed off and stalled a little bit during this August, but I think it will probably pick up as we get through to September, and I reckon we're going to have a weak La Nina. Through the final quarter, I suppose, Q4 of 2021, and take us into the winter 2021-2022. But we will continue to observe this and monitor it every week with winter updates. So if something unexpected starts to happen, like we get a sudden flip into an El Nino, as the Beijing Climate Center wants to do, we will pick up on that, as we do our winter updates week by week by week. We will focus every week on what's happening in the Equatorial Pacific Ocean, of course, in the Enso region. And so if something unexpected occurs, you'll be the first to know what's going on. Not expected, but we'll keep an eye on it. Right, so that's the final Enso update of the year. Enso updates will return in January. So the Enso updates of 2022 will begin in January. But now, no more Enso updates because winter updates are starting in less than 2 weeks' time. If you enjoyed this video, please can you give us a like. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And you'll be able to see future weather content, including future winter updates, if you subscribe. We're going to be back shortly with the EC 30-day/6 weeks look ahead for Europe. And also, we're going to have a 10 to 14 day as well. So keep checking back to the channel for more. For this final Enso update of 2021, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.